anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Hello and welcome to a Thursday Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern Time. A Thursday in October that features a ton of significant games to get you ready for. Week number 7 of the 2024 NFL season starts tonight in the Big Easy. A reunion as Sean Payton makes his way back to New Orleans, now as the head coach of the Denver Broncos, to take on the Saints. We've also got Major League Baseball playoff action, a recap of game number 3 in Queens last night, ahead of a doubleheader on this Thursday. Game 4 of the NLCS and game 3 of the ALCS, making our way to the land for the first time here in the championship series between the Guardians and the Yankees. And DRS, the WNBA Finals in its first 3 games has been absolutely electric. Mayhem in game number 1, the Liberty taking game number 2, and more excitement at the buzzer last night in the Twin Cities as well. All of that over these 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern.
Earlier in the week, gave out a sneaky team total in Major League Baseball on those New York Metropolitans to go over 3.5 runs, which they got. Got another sneaky team total tonight for the doubleheaders today in Major League Baseball. But if you're not watching today and you're not prepped on Devon Vele and Bub Means, you don't know what you're doing. That's our job today, to get you straight on who those players are and why you might be cashing tickets on them a little bit later today.
Donnie Rightside, always coming through when needed the most. All right, let's look back on Wednesday and what we saw in the first of our NLCS up in Flushing inside Citi Field. The first NLCS game at Citi Field in Queens since 2015, nearly a decade ago, but it wasn't a ceremonious debut for game number 3. It was all L.A. Walker Buehler dealing on the bump despite throwing a ton of pitches, and the offense awakens once again for the Dodgers. A couple of home runs, Kike Hernandez extending the lead for L.A., but what will be remembered, DRS, is the mammoth shot of Shohei Ohtani to extend the Dodgers lead to 7-zip up until the third deck of right field at Citi Field last night. The Dodgers take a commanding game number 3 win with an 8-0 victory. They lead 2-1 in the NLCS.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the Dodgers' fourth shutout in 5 games from their pitching staff, which is absolutely incredible. They needed it yesterday because we were talking about, Ben, what would actually happen if the Mets got the lead 2-1 in the series, and then all that momentum starts to change, and you go, we might not even make it back to Dodgerland if we're the Los Angeles Dodgers. What a big win for them last night. Worst case scenario, Ben, the Dodgers go back to Dodger Stadium needing to pick up 2 wins in games 6 and 7, but now the Dodgers take full control of that series. And you're right, that Shohei Ohtani home run, my goodness. I mean, I don't even know if you can 500, 600 feet. I don't even believe what the stat trackers are telling me. That thing was an absolute moonshot. And by the way, it's pretty good advice to say to the Dodgers if you're facing them, hey, look, make sure nobody's on base for Ohtani because he can't hit. Once you put a guy or two on base, the man absolutely mashes the Dodgers in control of this series now.
This game was pretty close. The Dodgers did plate 2 in the second inning, unearned against Luis Severino. A couple of errors allowing those base runners to score. In the 6th, it was Kike Hernandez, who was having a great playoff run for LA once again, a 2-run shot. Then in the 8th, a no-doubter off the bat of Shohei Ohtani. DRS, officially, they are listing it as only 397 feet. How do you get to the triple deck and it's less than 4 bills? I do not believe it, but you are correct. The Dodgers shutting out an opponent for the 4th time in the last 5 games. Again, they lead 2 games to 1 in the NLCS. Plenty more around October in just a little bit. It's been a New York week as we have focused on the Mets and the Yankees and the Jets getting things started with more drama on Tuesday morning. We'll talk about New York in just a moment. But how about the Liberty? Now just 1 win away from its first ever WNBA championship in franchise history, courtesy of Sabrina Ionescu in the final seconds last night in a tied game at 77-all in game number 3 in Minneapolis. A step-back heave from Ionescu goes down. New York takes game number 3 and a 2-1 lead in the WNBA Finals, 80-77, the final in the Twin Cities.
We take a look at Major League Baseball, pivotal game number 3, where we take a 2-1 series lead, but it's a 7-game series. In a 5-game series, it means that much more, and also to win on your opponent's court. That was big time. And how about a 15-down comeback here for the New York Liberty to come back and get that victory over the Lynx? It was a great game all the way through. It ended, certainly, with that late 3-point shot. Great stuff out of the WNBA.
The Lynx do cover as a 3.5-point home underdog. New York is a 3-point favorite for what could be a championship-clinching game number 4 in Minneapolis. 13 points for Ionescu, 30 points for Breanna Stewart to pace all scores. Now to that dramatic team, the New York Jets. Donnie, it is surprising. I know you are a doctor when it comes to calf issues, hamstring injuries. What did you see with Devontae Adams to be able to respond from a hamstring injury in only about 2.5 weeks to play for the New York Jets on Sunday night in the Steel City?
Smart business decisions by the Raiders and Devontae. The man was never injured. The man wanted to be traded. The worst thing you can do is send that guy out there in a meaningless game for your franchise, get him hurt, and not get any compensation back. This is when sports works together, where you shake hands and say, we hate each other, but we don't want to be with each other for any more days than we need to. That shift was made. Devontae gets out there and goes, hey, man, Hammy feels really good. It never felt bad. There's the hint. Yeah.
Loose, good, ready to run once again for his former quarterback in Green Bay, now in New York. That is Aaron Rodgers. So the Jets are on the road, Sunday Night Football in primetime once again, in a crucial game for the remainder of their season as a slight road favorite in Pittsburgh against Russell Wilson and the Steelers. Russ taking first-team reps at practice yesterday for Pittsburgh. Certainly on track, DRS, to start Sunday night for the Steelers after Justin Fields started the opening 6 games for Pittsburgh this season.
I wish this game was tonight because of how much energy would be in the room. But it is Sunday. We are going to have to wait for that one. I love this move because I think it benefits the Steelers. And I usually would knock Mike Tomlin sometimes because he wins football games in the regular season. What, Donnie? That doesn't make any sense. I actually think this is a great move for the Steelers if they expect to make a division run, if they expect to make the playoffs and win a playoff game or two, something they haven't done in a long time. You got to get your passing game in order, but don't disregard Justin Fields. He can still be a big part of this offense. I like this move going back to Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, DRS. We'll see how Russ elevates the ceiling for Pittsburgh, if at all. Anthony Richardson, after missing a couple of games for Indy, logs a full practice yesterday, is on pace to start on Sunday as the Colts host Miami. Indy right now, 3-point home favorite.
Yeah, we'll tell you a little bit more about this situation later in a buy or sell segment because I got some ideas for this. But again, I do think the Colts are making the right decisions here.
I would agree, despite how good Joe Flacco is as a backup and coming in to win football games. The Giants at home on Sunday, hosting Philadelphia as a 3-point dog. Malik Neighbors practices for the first time since a concussion. Short week Thursday night football game now 2 weeks ago against Dallas. He's on track to return this Sunday as well.
Yeah, be smart. One more week. What's the big deal? Let him get healthy down the line. Come on now.
Well said, DRS, as a Birds backer and diehard Philadelphia fan. College football on a Wednesday. Keep an eye on the tops out of CUSA. Western Kentucky improves to 3-0 in conference play. Going to Sam Houston State and winning 31-14. UTEP, DRS, its first win since last October last night over FIU.
And by the way, KC Keeler used to coach Rowan University. We never had much success against KC Keeler teams, so there you go.
Donnie Rightside bringing you all the info. October baseball next.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting the hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, guys?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take the room.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the one. Obviously, Terrence Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Game number 3 of the 2024 National League Championship Series for the first time in Queens in nearly a decade since 2015. Tied at a game apiece. The Dodgers take game 1 9-0, blanking the Amazons. The Mets respond early and often. In game number 2, some afternoon baseball at the Ravine in the NLCS earlier this week to win 7-3. So we're all square, getting ready for a huge night in Flushing in game number 3. A virtual pick'em on that money line. The Dodgers, a very slight road money line favorite at -112. Questions, DRS, for LA starter entering. That's Walker Buehler, Luis Severino on the other side for New York. But in the end, Buehler sensational. Despite 90 pitches in only 4 innings, He blanks New York, the rest of the Dodgers pen blanks New York, and LA gets just enough offense until Shohei Ohtani adds on the capper of the evening. A 3-run shot, a towering monolith home run up into the third deck as the Dodgers win 8-0 in game number 3 to take a decisive 2-1 series advantage in the NLCS.
Crazy. Game number 1, smack them 9-0. Game number 2, lose. Go on the road, win 8-0. I mean, you were looking at a Citi Field yesterday that was ready to be a powder keg if the Mets gave them anything to cheer about early in that game, which means taking an early lead. They weren't able to do that, and you do have to credit Walker Buehler. This is one of those guys, and I talk about it ad nauseum, Ben. Past couple years, before the injury, he was looking to take that mantle as a top 5 pitcher in the game, and the Dodgers were very excited about the future. Injuries take a toll, never seem to get on track this season, but he goes on the road in colder temperatures, gives you 4 innings of scoreless baseball, and leaves with the lead. That's all you can ask for, because I was asking myself yesterday, who actually had the better pitcher on the mound yesterday, and I thought it was Luis Severino, based on the statistics, based on the season in its totality, and that didn't turn out in their favor. Now, granted, you say Luis Severino, 4 2/3 innings pitched, no earned runs. Yes, he did his job, but still gave up 2 with the errors. That's not necessarily his fault, but also it's up to you as a pitcher to say, hey, look, errors aren't going my way. Let me get this shutdown inning. Let me go through. He wasn't able to do that. But again, he didn't pitch bad. The focus was on Walker Buehler and how good he was, because, as I said, you go into that environment in that stadium in New York and you give up an early, let's just say, home run to Lindor, Vientos, Nimmo, or Alonso, that place is going to be cooking the rest of the night. They quieted that crowd all the way through. Sensational performance. Once again, 4 out of 5 games, shutouts for Dodger pitching in the playoffs. That's unheard of.
DRS, it is insane. Of course, they took a 33-inning scoreless streak to its opposition, holding its opposing club without a run into game number 2 of the NLCS. With one more inning, they set a new playoff record, moving past the Baltimore Orioles from the 1966 World Series. And in the very first at-bat of game 2, Francisco Lindor had other ideas, taking Ryan Brazier deep. The Mets would score a bunch more runs in the second, but the Dodgers have now started a new scoreless streak. The Mets did plate a run in the top of the 9th earlier this week in game 2, but now it's 9 innings. So when you think about their last 4 games, it has been unreal. And Donnie, it really started despite giving up 6 earned runs in game number 3 in San Diego for Walker Buehler. He was not great. He registered the loss in that game in the NLDS against the Padres, but all 6 runs plated against him in the home half of the second. He then went 3 more scoreless innings, showing that fight. Donnie, it's been a wild story for Walker Buehler, as you detailed. Was going to be the new ace of a new era for a Dodgers pitching staff. Was on his way to being a top 5 starter in MLB. He had 2 Tommy John surgeries. He missed nearly 2 calendar years, returning in May in 18 starts in the regular season. A 1-6 record, a 5.38 ERA, and was not great in his first playoff performance against San Diego in the NLDS. So to do what he did yesterday, despite 90 pitches in 4 innings, to blank New York, to trust the Dodgers bullpen after that, it is the stuff that will be remembered in this postseason, where our question for the Dodgers has not been the offense, as we saw yesterday. Shohei Ohtani, 3-run home run. Kike Hernandez, 2-run home run. Max Muncy adding a solo shot in the 9th as well. It's been the pitching edge. Do the Dodgers have it as a World Series favorite? For the most part, we said no, but when it's mattered most, 4 of 5 games, shutting out an opponent, the Dodgers have arrived here in October.
Yes, they have. And also, it's very odd that the Dodgers, where we were trying to line up so many pitchers that they have talent-wise, and it seems like every week they were losing another starting pitcher to say, we're just going to hand it over to basically bullpen games and have dominant bullpen game performances. Now, does it continue? That's the hard part to try to figure out. But if you're just basing it on recency bias, absolutely it should continue. And you should be pulling your starters early if they get into a little bit of trouble or a high pitch count, as you saw Walker Buehler, 4 innings pitched, 4 innings pitched, and 90 total pitches. Dodgers. I love what I see out of this because these guys are already in focused playoff mode to win it by saying all hands on deck, and it's working out in spades, which you know how you can feed off. It's like a feeding frenzy in that bullpen. Let me get out there. I'm going to do the job. Somebody comes back from that inning. I just went an inning pitch solid. Let me get out there. I'll do my inning pitch and do it solid. I'll do 2 innings pitched here over the next 6th and 7th innings and shut the door here. I love what I see out of the Dodgers, and that was a massive victory last night because I was thinking to myself, the winner of Game 3 is probably going to win the series. Why? If the Mets were able to prevail, now you're saying, all right, you just need to win probably one more game in Queens before you send it back to Dodger Stadium, and you just need to win one of those games which you already won previously. Now the Dodgers winning that game, they can go in the relax mode. They can get comfortable and say, let's just go out there and play great baseball because our lineup is better than the New York Mets. And if our bullpen is handing shutout after shutout after shutout, boy, that feeds everybody in that dugout to say, you know what, now it's my time to step up next.
The Mets had 10 hits and 7 runs in game number 2. They've had 0 runs and only 7 hits in games 1 and 3. Game 4 is tonight at Citi Field. We'll look at the series odds and where this series stands in just a moment. Shohei Ohtani, his first playoff home run since the very first game of this postseason. That was game number 1 against San Diego for the Dodgers. Kike Hernandez has been sensational for Los Angeles as well. We'll talk individual awards, the NLCS MVP market on the other side of the break. The Dodgers entered last night a minus 156 favorite to win the pennant for the 4th time in the last 12 years. Where are the odds now? Find out next.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Don?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take the room.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the 1. Obviously, Terrence Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So, the Dodgers have a 2-1 series lead in the National League Championship set, just 2 wins away from LA's 4th pennant in the last 12 MLB seasons. DRS entering game number 3 with the series tied at 1-all in a virtual pick'em for the first game in Queens. It should be no surprise that LA remained the favorite to win the series outright at minus 156, but it was expected to be competitive. Not saying it's not now, but the Dodgers do win a monumental game 3. Now, minus 380. In favor of the Dodgers to win the National League Championship Series and claim that NL pennant. How much longer do you think this NLCS does go between the Mets and the Dodgers?
I do think we make it back. I don't think there's going to be a Dodgers sweep here in Queens. So I do think this at least goes 6 games. So you take a look at that total to the over. It's minus 290 for a reason. Most people, including the sports books like FanDuel, expect it to go 6 games as well. Because the one thing you could say is, oh, that'll do it here. Like you probably said the same thing after game number 1. Mets, nice run, beat the Phillies, awesome, ran out of gas. Dodgers going to smoke them here. And game number 2, they woke up quickly, which I bought back on that with the team total. Now you see them get back to Queens. It's 8-0 yesterday. Oh, no, let's put the Mets back in the box. Oh, my God, OMG, what a season we had, and away you do it. I'm not giving up on it yet because you don't have that dominant pitching staff coming back. And you say, Donnie, what do you mean a dominant pitching staff? The Dodgers have just shut them out 4 to 5 games. It's not as if, like, how can I put it? Clayton Kershaw in 2014 comes up on the mound in games 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Wait a second. How are we supposed to win anything? Every single night, you look at these pitching matchups, and you don't say, like, decided advantage this way, which means both of these teams will be in it. It's just up to the 1 through 9 in the lineup to actually step up. So I do think we go back to Chavez Ravine with at least a game 6, Ben.
And again, that's the structure of these best of 7s in the CSs that we have in these games. 2-3-2. It's not 2-2-1-1-1. It is 2-3-2. So games 4 and 5 are going to be in Citi Field. We shall see if we need to return to Southern California for game 6 and 7. Donnie, the FanDuel Sportsbook is not updating the series total games. It's remained at 5.5. It's just a matter of how much juice is on the over or the under. It's unfortunate they're not really moving the number. But the Dodgers entering last night, the shortest correct score, the team to win, and in how many games was the Dodgers in 6, around a plus 270 price. It is now Dodgers in 5 at plus 210. LA in 6 games, 4 games to 2 is plus 220. So tonight, it is game number 4, 8 p.m. Eastern time, expected to be a little bit chilly up in Flushing once again. The Dodgers, though, a pretty hefty road favorite. Yoshi Yamamoto gets the start for L.A. Lights out in that decisive winner-take-all Game 5 on Friday in Los Angeles. Starts on the road here for the first time in his MLB playoff career tonight against the Mets. Jose Quintana gets the start on the other side for New York. He has been lights out in 2 starts, 11 total innings, not a single earned run allowed. Again, we will preview Game 4 in just a little bit. But with that mammoth home run, DRS, to cap off a huge Dodgers night up in Queens, Shohei Ohtani, the favorite to win NLCS MVP at plus 220, and a short favorite at that. Nearly $4.50 in front of Kike Hernandez, who has been great for L.A. I'll ask this rather simply. If the Dodgers win the pennant, does Ohtani win MVP?
Yeah, he's probably going to, because it means he probably had a very good game number 4 and a very good game number 5, whatever game he plays in, because we know what wins. Superstar players hitting home runs and driving in runs, and Ohtani's going to be able to do that. Terrible without runners on base. Unbelievable with runners in scoring position and on base.
Yeah, that really has been the case, DRS. He was 2 for 4 in the opening game where the Dodgers pasted the Mets 9-0. And last night, of course, he did register that 3-run home run. All 3 games, by the way, so far in the National League Championship Series have gone over their pregame total. Do just want to mention Kike Hernandez, who, again, has been great. Multiple base knocks in both of the wins for the Dodgers in this set. But you still probably favor Shohei Ohtani. Mookie Betts, DRS, was the guy in the NLDS to keep the Dodgers afloat against the Padres. He's been rather quiet here in the LCS.
Yes, he has, and also coming up with bases loaded yesterday. What happens if he cranks another one into the seats and puts a 4th spot on the board? That's a completely different ballgame, and maybe the Mets go on to win that one. But hey, superstars still have their chances to win. We love big moments when superstars rise to the occasion, even if they struggled the previous games and hit that big hit. We'll be right back into it, and so will the Mets.
So the Mets only had 4 base knocks yesterday, so it should not be a surprise. But Francisco Lindor, 0 for, same with Pete Alonso. Need to be much better in Game 4. NFL news and notes as practice has begun. Next.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Donnie?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take the room.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the 1. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Each and every Wednesday around the National Football League, a new week on the practice field begins. You see who is out there, who is taking reps with the starters, who might be learning a new organization and new offense. Although it's not all that new for Davante Adams, who, of course, Nathaniel Hackett was the OC for Aaron Rodgers' final 3 years in Green Bay, the final 2 of the tenure in Wisconsin for Davante as well. It's just miraculous, Donnie, that as quickly as he gets to New York, Davante Adams'
Davante Adams' hamstring right here. Ben just got hamstrings right there. Maybe he got hit by the sniper over here, but let's focus on the point here for Davante Adams. You are in Vegas here. Why did you go to Vegas? Number one, it's a great city to live in. The weather is fantastic. You're welcome maybe in Green Bay. You just wanted a fresh start and get back to your old college teammate, which was Derek Carr. You also had a talented running back in the backfield, and what we thought would be a second time around being a head coach for Josh McDaniels, and that would work out much better in your favor. And it absolutely didn't. So if we are looking at Davante Adams and saying, is he going to be refreshed going from Las Vegas to New York? Absolutely. He's back with one of his best friends in Aaron Rodgers. And how many times, quite this going back in the day, you switch schools, like, man, I don't even know what they're learning at this point. I have no friends in the room. Not the same thing for Davante Adams. You get shipped off to a team where you don't know the playbook or the players on the team. You got to ingrain yourself in that environment. He can step right in for the New York Jets and know exactly what that offensive playbook and play with a quarterback that threw you so many touchdowns in the past. Yeah. To get to his hamstring injury, Ben, there was no hamstring injury. And if there was, boy, you're getting some of that Mr. Miyagi healing out there, touching up on those legs, going, get out there, son.
So, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty right there. I did get a hamstring, as DRS did just say. Can we go back? Because I want to make sure I saw what I saw to that clip reel that we had of all the photos? Like 5 out of 6, Devontae Adams in Sin City playing for the Raiders, the second to last, a random shot in Green Bay alongside Aaron Rodgers. All right, here we go. Raiders, Devontae Adams. Okay, there he goes. Let's move him. Oh, there it is. A Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Aaron back to Las Vegas against the Minnesota Vikings. Let's keep it rolling. Oh, another one in Green Bay in the throwback uniforms. A little bit of give and take. This is scintillating stuff. More Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. All right. So just a couple of Raiders thrown in, but actually majority Green Bay Packers, which I guess, DRS, if you are a Jets backer, you still believe in New York despite a 2-4 sub-500 start. You want to see what they did in their final 4 years together in Green Bay. 3 of the 4, Devontae Adams, at least 1,370 receiving yards, at least 11 receiving touchdowns. The only year he didn't get to 1,000 or double-digit TDs, he only played 12 games. There is something to believe in. And because you and I were not together on Tuesday when this trade was breaking, when we had this huge blockbuster in the NFL, in the conversation between myself and Joe Ranieri, does it really move the needle? Yes, Devontae Adams will provide a positive impact offensively, but does it turn a 2-4 Jets team into a 10-7 Jets team at the end of the year, earning a playoff berth? That was the question. So that is the question, DRS. Does the addition of Devontae Adams make the New York Jets, in your mind, a playoff team this season?
It's hard to say no. It is, because they did get better, and adding one of the best players in the NFL to your team is never a bad thing. But I always say this, Ben. I never looked at the New York Jets and be like, that team is one wide receiver away from actually doing damage in the NFL. They had a good wide receiver crew. They're supposed to have a good quarterback. They're supposed to have a dominant running game and a dominant defense. They're supposed to make the playoffs. They were favored to make the playoffs before the season started. So for me, it would be disingenuous to say, now that they got Devontae Adams, watch out, Jets, they're going to take it to another level. I don't believe that. But I can't honestly say they're not a better football team today than they were just a few hours ago because they added Devontae Adams. They are a better team. He's a great wide receiver, but nobody looked at the Jets and said they're a receiver away from actually competing. That's the issue we're all having.
Minus 172, the price on New York to snap a 13-year playoff drought to make the postseason before the year got started. After the loss on Monday night to Buffalo in the immediate aftermath, before about 2 hours, and the trade of Devontae Adams, plus 164 to see the playoffs. It is now plus 136. The Jets still more favored to miss the postseason than to reach the playoffs as a wild card team. But the good news and the silver lining outside of Devontae Adams, DRS, is the rest of the AFC ain't all that fantastic as we expected it to be. Only 6 of the 16 teams in this conference have a winning record after the first third of this NFL season. One of those teams, though, above 500, the team the Jets will see in primetime on Sunday night in the Steel City, it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And despite a 4-2 start with Justin Fields under center for all 6 games to start this season, it appears a quarterback change is underway. Russell Wilson back on the practice field yesterday for Pittsburgh. Did practice for the first time since that hamstring injury before the year in full last week. And yesterday, Donnie, not just a full participant at practice for Pittsburgh, but taking the reps with the ones. He is on track now to start on Sunday night for the Steelers against New York.
I'm telling you, the minute he completes that first 5-yard out to start that football game, we're talking about Russell Wilson, a lot of Iron City beers being held high in the air, a lot of Heinz ketchup being poured on French fries, a lot of Primanti Brothers sandwiches going down the hatch in celebration, because that's something you don't normally see there with Justin Fields. Wow, wide open wide receiver, an easy pitch and catch. That's pretty tremendous. We understand Justin Fields can make plays, and he has made plays this year. He's great with his legs. He's a younger version of Russell Wilson and a more dynamic version. But all I need to be for my quarterback here in Pittsburgh is to be a point guard. Just make the simple play, distribute it, let everybody do their work. Hand the football off, the running back runs. Pass it to the tight end over the middle, gain a couple yards. Pass it to the wide receiver, let him get those yak yardage out there. Just make the easy plays. Russ will be able to do that. But as I've said already, Justin Fields still needs to be a big part of this offense. Taysom Hill ×2 with what New Orleans has. He can be effective in the red zone, and he can be effective on short yardage situations, which Russell Wilson can't do that anymore. I think you're going to get the best of both worlds for the Steelers. And Ben, I'm not saying Russ is coming in this weekend against the Jets, 30 of 35 for 325 and 3 touchdowns. I'm just saying it's going to be nice to see a wide open wideout, 8 yards away. Wow, wasn't that easy on that completion?
It is a tough pill to swallow if you are Justin Fields. You did what was asked of you. You won 4 of 6 games. Oftentimes, Donnie, especially to start the season in the Steelers' perfect 3-0 start, he was not asked to throw the football down the field. He was, as they tried to rally against Indianapolis, had more than 300 passing yards, more than 50 on the ground, multiple scores, a huge component in the ground game for Pittsburgh that had been inept the last few seasons after Big Ben's retirement. Last week on display in Las Vegas, 59 yards for Fields, multiple rushing touchdowns, Najee Harris over the century mark, and a rushing score. But there was a little bit left to be desired out of Justin Fields in the passing attack for Pittsburgh. And that is what you hope Russell Wilson provides efficiency in. The DRS 15 games last year, 15 starts in Denver, just over 3,000 yards. Only once after week 3 did he throw for more than 250. He played clean, 26 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions all year long. But the Russell Wilson of the let Russ cook days back in Seattle, those seem to be a thing of recent memory. So here we are, Sunday night in primetime again. The Jets a very slight favorite for a monumental matchup for Gang Green in primetime for a second consecutive week. Donnie, we said it on Monday. The Jets felt like they had to win this game against Buffalo. They did not. Will they win on Sunday in Pittsburgh?
I actually think they will win on Sunday in Pittsburgh, because if you're looking at the Jets' losses here, yes, a lot of it is on Aaron Rodgers, and you're hoping that a all-pro / Pro Bowler / Hall of Famer can just have an average football game. Get a kicker that can make some kicks here. If your kicker was actually decent over the past month here, you have 2 more wins on your schedule than you don't now. Sooner than later, the dam is going to break through, and the Jets are going to win football games just by being average, and I think they can do that this weekend.
The Jets have found ways to lose football games, however. Keep an eye on that total of 38.5. The other New York team next.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Don?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the what? Obviously, Terrence Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. A new week in the National Football League begins tonight. It's week 7 in New Orleans between the Saints and the Broncos. We will talk about all of the players that are available or not in the Big Easy on this short week Thursday night football game. But Wednesday, DRS, the availability for the rest of the NFL getting ready for a new weekend. 2 weeks ago, short week Thursday night football as the Giants hosted the Cowboys. Malik Neighbors had a very promising first 3 quarters and then was knocked out of the game with a concussion against the Cowboys. We have not seen him since that point. Back on the practice field for the first time for the G-Men yesterday in a red jersey, non-contact. He has made progress. He still remains in protocol, but the Giants are optimistic, and they are hoping that he takes the next step for tomorrow, maybe being a full participant, tomorrow being today, at practice for New York. The Giants host the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday in MetLife. Philly, a 3-point road favorite.
Yeah, it'd be great to get some of your best players back on the field. Also, they lose their left tackle, which is a devastating injury, but you do want to preach patience. And I was joking to open the show. Hey, look, miss another week, help the Philadelphia Eagles out. That's all fine and good. Right. But we got to be honest and have a conversation about what Malik Neighbors is going to mean to the New York Jets, their team, over the next 5 to 6 years. The worst thing you want is for him to come back. And we're not saying it's going to be malpractice, like, the doctors cleared him when they shouldn't have. They're being prudent. They already sat him the extra week. They're trying to get him to go through the protocols. And if he's medically cleared, technically he should play. But it's one of those where it's like, all right, we're going nowhere this year. And maybe if we give him an extra week off or even an extra 2 weeks off, just to make sure this clears out, he's 1,000% healthy and ready to return. He's focused and ready to go. Because the last thing you want is him to play a game against the Philadelphia Eagles in a season for the Giants that will go nowhere, to get 2 concussions right off the bat. And then you're starting to talk about the long-term ramifications, like we keep bringing up Tua Tagovailoa and when he's going to return as a key and integral part of the Miami Dolphins. That's all. I'm just overcautious in situations where the team is going nowhere. You have a flat-out superstar probably over the next decade in the NFL. If he stays healthy, just don't ruin that, man. Like the Giants fans, I don't know how much more they can take. But if Neighbors goes back on the field this weekend and suffers another concussion right away, that's just a doomsday franchise at this point.
Of course, and it's a doomsday scenario for anybody returning from a head injury. He will have to go through the steps of getting through concussion protocol to even be available to play on Sunday if that is the Giants' decision. But Malik Neighbors off to a historic start. The first rookie wide receiver in NFL history to have 25 grabs through his first 4 games. He had 35 receptions by the time he was bounced from that Thursday night game to end out September against Dallas. I guess that's now even 3 weeks ago. 12 grabs on 15 targets for 115 yards against the Cowboys. DRS wasn't all that prolific week number 1. The Giants' offense was not. They only scored 6 points. But from week 2 and on, he has been targeted at least 12 times in every game, at least 8 grabs in every game, at least 78 receiving yards. He had 3 touchdowns on this season. He has been one of the offensive sparks for a Giants offense, still looking for it. Losing Andrew Thomas is, I think, larger than people truly understand. He has been sensational as one of those offensive tackles for the G-Men. Never good as you're trying to keep Daniel Jones upright to find guys like Malik Neighbors down the field. Donnie, 6.5 is the win total for New York. It's pretty much where it was before the year got started. The outlook remains the same with or without Malik Neighbors, frankly, on the football field. But after the historic start for Neighbors, it was Jaden Daniels, his own historic start, and odds-on favorite to win NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. And then it was Malik Neighbors, not all that far behind his former LSU teammate. Neighbors now at 14-1. And Donnie, more so as we discussed earlier this week, after great performances out of Jaden Daniels and, of course, Caleb Williams on Sunday in London, it feels to be a race between 1 and 2, the number 1 and 2 overall picks from the 2024 NFL Draft. If Malik Neighbors returns, can he try to edge into that race right now?
No, he can't. And it's not fair to say that those other guys on that list aren't good football players, because they will be good football players. But the two up top have really separated themselves. And maybe it is just paint by numbers. Hey, look at this. Number 1 pick, number 2 pick. Look at that. They're going toe-to-toe. We thought they would be very good quarterbacks. But the one thing we didn't know was how good those football teams would actually be. Washington looks like they're going to be a competent football team. Same thing with the Chicago Bears. That adds on to it. Where the guy like Malik Neighbors on the Giants, I don't know how competent they're going to be moving forward, which means, can they challenge for division? No. Can they challenge for the playoffs? I don't think so either. And also, he's down 2 games right off of the bat. That's never going to help the equation. But I do think Neighbors is talented. Harrison Jr. is talented. He gets a concussion. Worthy is talented. But I don't think anybody, Ben, is going to challenge the top between Daniels and Williams. And by the way, I feel they're pretty much neck and neck. And next week in the NFL, when they line up toe-to-toe and play each other, that feels like an eliminator game where if I have a lead like Jaden Daniels at minus 190, I win. I go to minus 290. If I'm Caleb Williams, I'm behind at a plus 155. I win that game. I move to minus money at that point here. So I can't wait to watch that play out. But just the simple process of the rookies of the year, those two quarterbacks have been everything and more than we thought they would be here living up to this point after 6 weeks.
Caleb Williams and the Bears on the bye this week. Jaden Daniels and the Commanders host Carolina as an 8.5-point favorite. The Commanders already by week 7 laying more than a touchdown. Speaking of other teams around the NFL and that wide receiver spot, Cooper Kupp trying to make his way back to practice and return to the playing field for the LA Rams. Like the Giants, the Rams win total is 6.5 after week 6. LA on the bye last week, but the Rams entered this year, Donnie, with a win total of 8.5, and the over had the juice, seen as a playoff contender once more in the NFC. It has been a debilitating, injury-filled start to this season for Los Angeles. If Cooper Kupp returns and Puka Nacua starts to make his way back as well, what's your outlook for Los Angeles the remainder of the way?
The outlook isn't very good. Let's just say it does come back this week. A lot of people would just beat up the Raiders, any team. But after that, the Vikings and the Seahawks on the road, the Dolphins, probably with Tua Tagovailoa back. You still got the Eagles on there, the Bills, the 49ers. It doesn't look good here overall. So whether or not he comes back, if you got a fantasy team, fantastic. If you want to bet him on a week-to-week basis to get yards and touchdown, that's great. For the Rams' future, it doesn't make any difference. They are buried on the season.
It is pretty crazy. One of the more stunning lines for Sunday's slate, probably. The Rams, a 6.5-point home favorite against the Raiders as a 1-4 football team. Thursday Night Football next.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Don?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take the Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the 1. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant for that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Week number 7 of the 2024 NFL season gets started tonight in the Big Easy. The Saints play host to the Broncos. So many storylines entering tonight's game in New Orleans as Sean Payton makes his return to NOLA against the former organization that he was at the helm of for a decade and a half. But that's one component of this short week Thursday night football game to kick off week number 7. The other DRS is how shorthanded and banged up New Orleans is. Of course, Derek Carr injured the oblique 2 weeks ago against Kansas City. Spencer Rattler, the 5th-round pick out of South Carolina, made his starting debut last week for the Saints. A great second quarter, but everywhere else they got hammered by the Buccaneers, and Rattler did throw multiple interceptions. And that's when he had, at least to start the game, Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. But Donnie, both Olave and Shaheed injured in that football game against Tampa. Both are out tonight, and Shaheed will have to undergo surgery before he can get back on the field. An interesting component of this offense. Taysom Hill remains doubtful, dealing with a rib injury. On the other side, also in concussion protocol, one of the best young corners, or maybe just cornerbacks in all of the NFL, Pat Surtain, is set to be out for Denver. A lot of key missing pieces for tonight's Thursday night football game in New Orleans.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good Thursday night and primetime matchups here on the season. This isn't one of those, and this is sometimes one of those poster child games are why you should not be playing football on a Thursday night regardless. Yes, you get a lot of money. Everybody's going to watch regardless, but you're talking about banged up players that might be able to make it on Sunday that have zero chance to actually make it on Thursday night. And now you have 2 rookie quarterbacks starting on a Thursday night. One of the rookie quarterbacks, talking about Spencer Rattler, I went back and watched the game last week. He actually performed quite well. Didn't look like he was scared for the moment. They let him throw 40 times, had some nice athletic plays out of the pocket, but certainly it's still a rookie quarterback. You are going to make mistakes, and he did that. Now on the short work week here, he's going to make more mistakes tonight. Same thing with Bo Nix. Don't let him throw 45 times a game for 116 yards and 1 interception and no touchdowns. These guys are going to try to work their way through it, but just from a talent deficit, Spencer Rattler's really going through it. Now, granted, you're not going to have a lot of high numbers here for those wide receivers and tight ends and running backs for the New Orleans Saints because we're not expecting a high-scoring game. But there are some advantages that you can play that we'll certainly get to. But it does stink where you line this game up and say, all right, let me watch these 2 rookie quarterbacks get after it and say, like, who are they throwing to? Never heard of that guy? Can he step up? That's what we're getting in primetime football tonight.
Yeah, it is going to be the case, DRS. There is the storyline and narrative component of this football game, as we know, as Sean Payton makes his return to the Big Easy. That might be the most compelling pregame narrative entering. This is week 7. It's our 6th short week Thursday night football game. It is the first one as we near the middle part of this NFL season that is no longer a divisional duel with the added magnitude of a short week Thursday night game. The last 2 weeks have gone over. The first 3 stayed well under, and you saw a total of 36 and a half. We are not expecting a ton of offense tonight as Bo Nix leads the Broncos and Spencer Rattler leads out the Saints. Donnie, the first 2 games of this year, Bo Nix did not look great against either the Seahawks or the Steelers through multiple interceptions. Then Denver went on to win 3 consecutive games. He did not throw a pick. Last week against the Chargers, 1 pick, albeit to 2 touchdowns, as they came up short in Mile High against the Chargers. This just the second time this season that Denver is booked as a favorite. The Broncos have been a good cover team so far this season. They are 3-2 ATS. They did cover and win in their only game as a favorite in Mile High a couple of weeks ago against the Las Vegas Raiders, laying about 2.5, 3, easily winning that game by more than 2 touchdowns. It is going to be difficult to find those betting edges tonight, Donnie, especially with a road team and a rookie quarterback as a road favorite on a short week with a decent bit of travel to New Orleans.
And also, you're looking at a game from a perspective of, I do think the Denver Broncos are a better team. You open up the first 2 games, lost to the Seahawks and the Steelers, 3 straight wins, as you said. You did get beat up. I don't care if that 23-16 score says it was 23-0 last week before they got a couple late touchdowns. But I think Bo Nix has much more under his cap right now than you do take a look at Spencer Rattler. And also, you have much more weapons. Not really saying a ton for the weapons of the Denver Broncos, but everybody is hurt for the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are on a slide right now, and also, Sean Payton's coming back for the Dome. They know how important this game is to Sean Payton. I'm not saying you play one, win one for the Gipper, because that's what you do, but I just think it looks like a rookie quarterback on a Thursday night. How could you ever take it? Tonight, it's probably that night to take it.
Yeah, that is probably a component of our handicap, as we'll dive deeper into it in hour 2, which starts now.